Hello friends, in the series of lectures of ENT, in the previous discussion we have already went through the details of cholesteatoma, how a cholesteatoma develops, different theory regarding development of a cholesteatoma, and how the cholesteatoma migrates from the squamous epithelium of the canal through the pars flaccida or a retraction pocket into the middle ear and presents itself as a recurrent discharge or foul smelling discharge. So cholesteatoma being an integral part of CSOM, it is bound to have some discussion on CSOM in order to go ahead with the complications of the cholesteatoma and CSOM. So today's topic of discussion will be CSOM. CSOM stands for chronic suppurative otitis media. Chronic suppurative otitis media. So let me expand it first. So like a ASOM, which is acute suppurative otitis media, in which the middle ear is absolutely filled with the exudative and transudative fluids, and this is a painful pathology. The CSOM is actually a permanent perforation in the tympanic membrane with a recurrent discharge. So the topic for today's discussion will be CSOM. So we'll go through the definition, types, incidence, etiology, and pathology, and subsequently the treatment part also. So obviously that because the topic is a long topic, we'll try to cover it in 2 or 3 classes. So this is the first class of the CSOM. CSOM S stands for, or a COM is also correct. COM stands for chronic otitis media. The definition is this is a chronic inflammatory sequence of the middle ear cleft. The middle ear cleft is, let me take a pen, a pointer option. We'll take a pen. So this is a middle ear, and we will change the. This is the middle ear. Sorry about this. Let me take a pen again. Pointer option pen. So this will be the middle ear. I will try to change the color of the pen as well. Ink color, I will go for a red. Okay, so this is supposed to be the middle ear. Middle ear houses the Malleus incus stapes, and the anterior wall is connected to the eustachian tube, and posteriorly the attic segment has got an opening which communicates through adductus to much larger cavity which is called as antrum. So middle ear cleft is inflammatory sequence of middle ear as well as the mastoid ear cells as well as the promontory segment as well as the eustachian segment as well. So middle ear cleft is a much bigger term than the middle ear itself. It also includes the posterior extension of the middle ear into the mastoid antrum and other mastoid ear cells as well. So this is a chronic inflammatory sequence, and chronic CSOM or chronic suppurative otitis media is divided into 2 segments. Number one is tubotympanic segment, which is a safe ear, which is also called as safe ear. And this aticoantral is unsafe ear. The word safe and unsafe are used because of, by and large, the presence of cholesteatoma. It is the cholesteatoma which is responsible for majority of the surgery or surgical intervention done on the middle ear, as well as it also has got a property of destruction of bone. So the unsafe part of the CSOM always comes with cholesteatoma. So it's the cholesteatoma which makes the ear unsafe. The first one is a safe type of middle ear inflammatory sequence, in which we have got a tubotympanic disease in which there is a central perforation. And in case where we have got a attic perforation or a pars flaccida perforation or a marginal perforation, this will make the ear unsafe because of the highly likelihood of having a cholesteatoma. So the presence of cholesteatoma through these 2 perforations, either an attic perforation or a marginal perforation, the epithelium migration, the squamous epithelium can migrate more proficiently into the middle ear, and hence there is a higher chance of or higher probability of having a cholesteatoma in case of attic perforation or a marginal perforation. These are all marginal perforation. Whereas in the case of a central perforation, be it is a small or a medium or a large, the chances of epithelial migration, which is also called as cholesteatoma subsequently, are very minimal or minimal. So the tubotympanic disease is an inactive disease. Inactive, the ear is not so much engaged in an inflammatory sequence, and there is no destruction of the bone. There is no appearance of cholesteatoma. And in case of attico, the word tubotympanic stands for, it's a disease of anterior segment of the middle ear, or tubo in the sense is eustachian tube and tympanic is middle ear. So the disease is restricted only to the middle ear. There's no dissemination of the disease. There are remote chances of complication in this ear. So this is ear clinically is also called as a safe ear. Whereas in case of a atticoantral disease or atticoantral CSOM, there are highly likelihood or higher chances of having the cholesteatoma, and is the cholesteatoma which makes the ear unsafe because of the perforation which are present in either the pars flaccida segment or as a marginal part of the tympanic membrane. So attico is attic part of the tympanic membrane or middle ear. This is attic part of the tympanic membrane. The word attic means superior part of the middle ear or tympanic membrane. The word attic is reserved for superior part of the middle ear or tympanic membrane. So atticoantral is mastoid antrum. When there is a extension of the disease from attic to antrum, mastoid antrum, which makes the ear unsafe, and it is also called as unsafe CSOM. So we have got distinctly two type of CSOM. Number one is tubotympanic, which is represented by a central perforation and which has got a non-destructive pathology, and the chances of complication are much lesser. Whereas in the case of atticoantral disease, it's an unsafe perforation or an unsafe disease or an unsafe CSOM because of the presence of cholesteatoma, a bone destruction because of virtue of presence of various enzymatic behavior of cholesteatoma, and apart from that, the chances of complication are much higher than the tubotympanic disease. So we will again we have already discussed the acquired form of cholesteatoma. Acquired is of two type: primary acquired and secondary acquired. In the previous lecture, we have already discussed two type of migration of epithelium from the canal to the middle ear. Primary is by a retraction pocket of the pars flaccida segment of the tympanic membrane, whereas secondary is through a marginal perforation, So acquired cholesteatoma, congenital, we have already discussed. A whitish mass behind the intact tympanic membrane without a history of discharge is congenital. Whereas if the cholesteatoma or squamous epithelium, the collection of a squamous epithelium is a sac, is cholesteatoma, and the migration of this sac happens to be in two forms, either in the form of a retraction pocket of the pars flaccida, then it is called as a primary acquired cholesteatoma, and the secondary is when the squamous epithelium migrates into the middle ear along the perforation margin. So what are the clinical picture of a CSOM or chronic suppurative otitis media? It will be a recurrent discharge depending upon it. If it is associated with a safe CSOM or a tubotympanic type, then it will be a mucoid discharge, where in case of a unsafe CSOM, it can be a blood mixed discharge also because of destruction of surrounding bones, a periosteum, or other soft tissue structures of the middle ear. So that discharge is a scanty discharge. In case of unsafe, scanty, a foul smelling, and sometimes sanguineous also. Sanguineous stands for, sanguineous blood mixed discharge. So hearing loss in case of a CSOM always will be a conductive hearing loss, except in a case of extensive cholesteatoma, which is bound to destruct, has a capacity to destruct the internal ear. Then it will be a mixed hearing loss because there is destruction of malleus incus stapes as well as tympanic membrane, and there is a restriction of the mobility of the tympanic membrane as well as the malleus incus stapes as well. But in case of unsafe CSOM, because of potential destruction of the internal ear, we can have a mixed hearing loss. So there is a distinct differential features in a safe and unsafe CSOM. May it is a discharge or a hearing loss pattern. So the symptoms, the complications are vertigo. Vertigo definitely indicates the involvement of the internal ear, and the internal ear is opened by the only thing which can make entry is through the cholesteatoma. The pain, the tinnitus, or remote are clinical features. Facial palsy, again we have got a feature which is more commonly traced with cholesteatoma. So the discharge, again I've already discussed, will be a mucoid or a mucopurulent and a non-foul smelling, a copious discharge. A heavy discharge will be, you will see in the case of a safe CSOM or a tubotympanic type. Tubotympanic type. Whereas in case of a unsafe, not stained with blood, related to in case of a TT, which is TT is again tubotympanic, also called as safe type. Whereas the discharge will be mucopurulent, thick discharge, scanty, continuous, foul smelling, and will may be stained with blood in case of anti-adipoenteral disease, because this is purely because of the destruction property, which is inseparable or a tenacious part of tenacious or indispensable part of cholesteatoma pathology. So the discharge, by looking only at the discharge, if the discharge is mucoid, you can clearly say that the discharge is coming from the middle ear, because the canal do not have a mucus secreting glands. It only has got a purulent discharge, or it behaves like a skin. So a mucoid discharge is essentially a part of middle ear pathology. So a mucoid, because the goblet cell or mucus secreting cells are only present in the middle ear, a mucoid discharge essentially always is associated with a middle ear pathology. Next is a deafness, already explained. In case of deafness, in a tubotympanic or a safe type of disorder, it will be a conductive part only, because there will be the perforation of the tympanic membrane. The Malleus incus stapes assembly is by and large intact in the case of safe CSOM in almost all of the cases. Whereas in case of aticoenteral or unsafe CSOM, there will be conductive, which is because of perforation of the tympanic membrane, destruction of the incus primarily, but Malleus and even the stapes suprastructures. Primarily it will be a conductive discharge, but in the later stage it can even involve the internal ear, and hence may leads to a mixed discharge, a mixed hearing loss. So these are some, this will be a normal tympanic membrane. This will be endoscopic picture of a normal tympanic membrane. This is lateral process of the Malleus. This is handle of the Malleus. This is cone of light. This is anterior. This is posterior. This is superior. This is inferior. This is posterior. The cone of light is present in only into the antero-inferior segment of the tympanic membrane. So we'll let's see in this patient. So this is a picture which is a typically representation of a unsafe CSOM, because you have got a prolapsed polyp. A polypoidal growth can only come from a mucosal surface. So every possibility of a polyp or a ear polyp is arising from the middle ear mucosa, and more commonly from the medial wall of the middle ear mucosa around the foot plate of the stapes itself. So it is not prudent or wise to pull out a polyp, because it can leads to a iatrogenic labyrinthine fistula, or the patient can have a dead ear if you do this. So it is not advised, or it is not advised to pull the ear polyp, because by and large the origin of the polyp will be the middle ear, because middle ear has got a mucosal surface, and it is the mucosa which is in the prolapsed forms appears into the canal. So it appears that the origin may be canal, but actually the site of the origin is middle ear, most commonly around the foot plate area. So the association of a clinical picture with a polyp, bleeding canal, or bleeding through the canal, or and a granulation. These three things. Number one is polypoidal mucosa. Next is blood mixed discharge. Number three is granulomatous changes in the canal, are always suggestive of a cholesteatoma, which is hiding in the middle ear or underneath the tympanic membrane. So this is again a mucosal polyp or oral polyp. Oral polyp. This is oral. Oral is ear, and a polyp. The polyp essentially is a prolapsed mucosa and which belongs to the middle ear. So it appears to be a canal pathology. It is not, but it essentially came from the prolapse part of the middle ear mucosa. So this is an extensive disease, obviously. So the mastoid segment of the temporal bone has got a fistula on offering, and there is a prolapse polyp as well. So this is a advanced case of a destructive pathology, which is always engaged with the unsafe CSOM by the presence of cholesteatoma. So cholesteatoma makes the ear unsafe, and this is a classical example, not seen nowadays frequently because of the use of antibiotics. So this is again advanced. The patient has got both a mastoid fistula as well as a prolapsed ear polyp or oral polyp. So this is again an endoscopic picture. So you can see the round window niche, and this is incus long process, and this is stapedius muscle, and this is footplate of the stapes, and these are anterior and posterior crura. So this will be the posterior part, posterior. This will be superior. This will be anterior, and this will be inferior. So this is, you can see lateral process of the malleus. This is handle of the malleus. So this we have got a perforation, and through the perforation you can easily look at the structures which are present in the middle ear, apart from the presence of various other pathology in the middle ear. Because so the perforation of a tympanic membrane also offers a good visualization through a canal via endoscope. So this is a promontory, and this will be a Jacobson nerve area. So again, these two are safe perforation. You can easily see, seems to be a large perforation, but the ear is well ventilated, and it is the ventilation which makes the ear discharging or a non-discharging ear. So every perforation also ventilates the ear. So if the ear has got a tympanic membrane perforation, it is not then dependent on the eustachian tube to ventilate it. So a perforation is also a protective mechanism to certain extent, and you can see a healthy pars flaccida or a attic region you can see, and the ear is well ventilated. This is a round window niche. This is a classical example of a unsafe CSOM. So we'll discuss the unsafe CSOM in the next class, and the clinical picture which is associated with the unsafe type or aticoenteral type of the CSOM in the next class. Thank you for watching. Thank you.